Well, I think it's pretty clear that it's because of moments like this why they are trying to take out Alex Jones.
One of the things you've been talking about on your show is your allegation that government officials are aiding in child trafficking and the grooming of children, right?
You mean like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
Left hook, right hook, total knockout of the globalist agenda with the story of the decade that they have been trying to keep away from you. That, of course, independent media fought successfully and finally got it out there to the discourse, as now there's an entire liquidation of Alex Jones, his assets, his business, his intellectual property. Will his social media accounts and email list be hit too? Well, who's going to be buying it? As some people are now trying to organize a way to try to save his entire empire just for him. Will they be successful? Well, we are going to be looking into that, as this story is ripe with a lot of hypocrisies, especially from the corporate media that is cheering this on, when in reality, they are the biggest culprits and pushers of fake news and disinformation out there. This, as it even looks like the former president of the United States is falling for some disinformation himself, as he just came out, not just on Truth Social, but Twitter as well, and announced that, quote, there are big threats on my life by Iran. Yes, we're hearing Iran, as we've been telling you this ever since the first attempted taking of Donald Trump's life. There has been a very kind of interesting kind of maneuver by the establishment, especially the corporate media, trying to edge closer towards pointing and shifting all of the blame on Iran, a country that, of course, a lot of neoconservatives have been dreaming about bombing for about 20 plus years. As Donald Trump went on and said, quote, the entire U.S. military is watching and waiting. Moves were already made by Iran that didn't work out, but they will try again. What are you talking about here? As, of course, he's clearly speaking in generalizations, not highlighting any kind of new evidence or information provided to us. As he goes on and says, quote, not a good situation for anyone. I am surrounded by more men and weapons than I have ever seen before. Thank you to Congress for unanimously approving far more money to Secret Service. 0 no votes, strictly bipartisan. Nice to see Republicans and Democrats get together on something. An attack on a former president is a death wish for the attacker. As I decided to respond to this saying, it's probably more of the people trying to put you in jail and silence you than the Iranians. As George Galloway said, you don't really believe this, right? I mean, you know who is really trying to do it, right? Dr. Simon Goodix said, come on, Donald, weren't you supposed to drain the swamp, not hide behind it? As if you remember watching this show, I said specifically right after the first attempted taking on Donald Trump's life that if it was successful, there would have been an all-out war in the Middle East right now with Iran, as of course all of the blame would have been shifted on them. Now, let's be honest here. There really isn't a love affair between the Iranians and Donald Trump, especially after the assassination of Soleimani by Donald Trump. There's even an Iranian MP that put a multi-million-dollar bounty on Trump's head. It's fair to say the Iranians would prefer Kamala Harris to be the next president of the United States. But now, particularly right at this point where the Middle East is a powder keg, when it's just about to explode, between the Houthis, between the people in Gaza, between Hezbollah, between the Iranians, between the Syrians, as we are on the brink of a war with Lebanon right now, that some people say has already begun. This is the time and moment where we are getting information from the intelligentsia that has always lied us into war, that the specific attacks against Donald Trump and the attempted taking of his life perfectly geopolitically align with the larger aspirations and ambitions of the U.S. military-industrial complex. You're telling me that this is perfectly just coalescing here. No. I don't buy it. I don't believe it until I actually see some legitimate forms of evidence. As of right now, we don't have evidence at all. We have very kind of vague, generalized statements being made by Donald Trump here, who, as we're finding out from Axios, was actually briefed on the threats from Iran by, quote, intelligence officials. As it's also important to note here, many former head intelligence officials previously lied about Donald Trump and his alleged collusions with the Russians. If you remember, they all kind of signed a letter saying, hey, yep, absolutely, totally true. The corporate media ran with it, and then later we found out it was all fake news. So why should Donald Trump trust these same intelligence officials that perfectly have the best piece of information that aligns with the aspiration of warmongers? Well, that's something that I think a lot of people should be questioning and asking themselves. And again, I'm not even saying these allegations aren't true. All I'm saying is, where's the proof? Where's the beef? Where's the evidence? Where's the actual documents? Where's the actual events that you could point to and make this argument that you're going to need to convince the American people? As of course, right now, all we have is hearsay, as there's even the intelligence agencies coming out recently with a joint statement. They do that a lot, saying that there was a cyber attack on Donald Trump that handed over his campaign information to the Biden-Harris campaign, as a lot of people are saying that there was foreign influence operations that were already happening, that allegedly the Kamala Harris campaign is complying with and cooperating with authorities on. All of this as Donald Trump, after the first attempted taking of his life, also took to Truth Social and hinted at the possibility of what he believed to be Iran's influence here by saying, quote, if they do assassinate President Trump, quote, I hope that America obliterates Iran, wipes it off the face of the earth. If that does not happen, American leaders will be considered gutless cowards.
And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump.
While also highlighting a clip from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, as the United States finds itself in a very particular situation, sending more troops to the Middle East, with now an additional announcement of more troops being deployed to Cyprus, all as we are on the precipice of a larger war in Iran, that it's fair to say a lot of people within our own government are trying to convince us to fight, as we are already financing it. As it's fair to say here, the Iranians weren't the ones that told Secret Service to stand down here. I think it's fair to say the Iranians weren't the ones who said that they were going to secure the building that they were inside of, that they let a lunatic assassin be on top of. I think it's fair to say it wasn't the Iranians that stopped Donald Trump from being pulled off stage, as there was literal announcements and people in crowds saying, hey, there's a lunatic up there on the roof that's going to try to take his life soon. I think it's fair to say it wasn't the Iranians that gave the stand-down order and allowed 8+ shots to be taken at Donald Trump. I don't think it's the Iranians here that went to the Secret Service and told them to issue statements that we found out later weren't true. I think it's fair to say the Iranians are not the ones blacklisting, censoring information, and denying it to investigators trying to find out what happened there. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump definitely needs a lot more Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson in his life and less of the intel agencies in his ear. And that's why probably we just got the news of the liquidation of Infowars by a judge that will be taken down and selling off his entire operation. As it's also important to note here, it was Tucker Carlson, it was Alex Jones, it was other people in independent media like myself that also predicted that there was going to be an attempted taking on Donald Trump's life before the attempts actually happened. This as Alex Jones was just on stage during a major Tucker Carlson event where he had this to announce to the jam-packed crowd in a huge arena.
I love you. This is a beautiful state full of beautiful people. And when we get President Trump elected, all of us together are going to lift the curse off of this country, and we're going to send the globalists to prison. And it is amazing. It is amazing to meet all these great people, and whether they're black, white, old, young, to see the electricity in people's eyes that are populist and that are Americans and that love God and that love children and love freedom and hate tyranny. I can feel the strength in this auditorium at capacity in Reading, Pennsylvania. And like I told the globalists a long time ago, I don't know how all this is going to end, but if they want to fight, they better believe they've got one.
And it's fair to say they're definitely fighting Alex Jones, as a judge just approved the auction and liquidation of all of his assets in order to pay the families that he is accused of defaming many years ago, as he is now due to pay $1.5 billion in restitution during actual court proceedings with summary judgments where Alex Jones wasn't even able to defend himself or make arguments for his particular side. This says there are multiple appeals to this kind of jury verdict, as the court now will be determining whether Alex actually gets to keep his social media accounts or if they will be liquidated also. As this is all regarding statements for a controversial event back in 2012, as the corporate media has lied to us after an event that had tragic human consequences related to the disinformation pushed by the corporate media establishment that they were never held accountable for. But Alex Jones said something that offended some people, that people said wasn't true, and now he is indebted $1.5 billion, as now everything he has worked so hard to achieve and buy will be sold off piece by piece. As of course, Alex Jones is making money with his operation and making payments, but that is not enough, as the U.S. Bankruptcy Court right now is making sure that he is going to be ineligible to pay off the debt by, of course, selling everything they can. And if they really cared about the money here, they would say, yeah, Alex, keep going and keep making payments here, as of course you're profitable and you're going to keep making money, and then we're going to take some of that money. But they don't want the money. They want to take down and silence Alex. And I think it's fair to say that this is what is really happening here. There's a larger possibility that his supporters could actually buy his studio, his equipment, and then, of course, just give it back to him, as that's what a lot of people are saying could happen here. This says currently Alex is live on the air explaining the situation. And of course, he is someone that I have a personal relation with, and I know, and I've heard his side of the story during all these developments as they were happening to him. This says NPR decided to, of course, boast about this entire escalatory situation that is extremely stressful to deal with by saying, quote, going once, going twice, Alex Jones cameras, mics, Infowars show, and vitamin shop. A celebration by a media company that is extremely biased, partisan, and has shown its true colors within the last few years as a totally Democratic Party establishment organization that clearly has no objectivity or care or consideration for the truth. Now, whether you like Alex or not, whether you think some of the things he says is crazy or not, it doesn't matter here, because what is happening here is that this is creating a larger chilling effect. As personally myself, there was a large action taken against me that has also pretty much liquidated everything that I worked so hard for, that I'm currently dealing with right now. And it's not easy dealing with these particular situations, as of course a lot of this is happening right before November 5th, which I think is the true cause of all of this. Now, I still haven't really publicly talked about what's happening to me. It's a very difficult situation. It's not a very easy situation. It's a very stressful situation that I'm dealing with right now that literally is taking away everything that I have worked so hard for. And looking around at what's happening right now to all the independent media people out there, I don't think a lot of this is a coincidence, to say the least. I think there's a lot of underhanded efforts that are absolutely sinister, that are absolutely doing their best to stifle any kind of legitimate conversation and speech that, of course, they don't particularly agree with. But hey, just like Alex here, we're not going to give up. We're not going to stop. We're not going to falter, and we're going to work harder than ever. And this is why we're doing an in real life meetup in Miami, Florida this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we could all actually come together, break bread, have some good food, support a good business, and just be able to, of course, touch grass and meet fellow like-minded individuals. We're doing that this Friday just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, truly, your support is more needed than ever. Now, what's the future of Alex Jones? Well, he's persistent, and a lot of people recognize what he's trying to do, like Roger Stone, who just announced that he's putting together a group to buy Infowars and hire Alex Jones to, quote, run it. Yes, you heard that correctly. That's the larger kind of conversations behind the scenes, as a lot of other people's faith is also in question. Individuals like Owen Schroyer that also released a statement online saying this.
So, no, I've never been more proud of my work at Infowars than I am today. I've never had total confirmation that I joined the right team of telling the truth and anti-corruption media than today when I joined Infowars. And now, yet again, at this level of the Infowars saga, people will see how the First Amendment and free speech is under attack, and all the weapons they will use against Americans to try to take your rights from you and shut you down if you won't be silenced. Now, that's all I'm going to say on this.
Yeah, as it's fair to say, we definitely need independent media now more than ever, especially with the storm clouds that are gathering over Europe, over the Middle East, as of course there's going to be a lot of shenanigans. There's going to be a lot of underhanded efforts trying to, of course, attack anyone standing in their way, as firstly, we are dealing with a larger information war that is being waged against the American people. Knowledge is power, and there's a lot of people that do not want you to be powerful individuals. They want you to be fat, lazy, stupid cattle that, of course, will be served up on the plate of the globalists that want to devour you. Will you be devoured? Or will you be empowered enough to make sure that your destiny is in your own hands as a free human being? That's what's at stake here, as there's a lot of other powerful individuals that, of course, are not dealing with any of these larger issues, as they are consolidating and buying up more media companies, politicians, and influence campaigns that they wield with barely any scrutiny against them. Now, what's the future of America? Well, what's going to be the future of people being able to talk to each other freely is the more important question. And if you agree, share this video with your friends and family members. Again, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Even if you're not in Miami, you help spur on individuals coming together. Every time I'm going to travel now, I'm going to do some kind of nature hike, some kind of meetup. Your financing of LukeUnfiltered.com allows that to happen. It wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you guys actively engaging, signing up, and participating in this independent media organization. We need you more than ever. See you on the other side. We have a special broadcast just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com available to you right now, all on the website in the description below. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.